Good afternoon, people of Dubai. It's a very sunny weather today. Thanks for tuning in with me in our daily midday show, Mr. Beast Afternoon Treat. I hope you're excited for our episode this afternoon because I am excited to hear from our guest today. With me is a very passionate man in his work in the field of business. He is the man behind the successful podcast show titled The Drive to Succeed podcast, and also behind the newly created Podcast Academy. After the break, we will hear more from Mr. Daniel Francisco in the house. And we're back. Once again, I'm with Mr. Daniel Francisco. How are you, Daniel?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you once again. Tell me something about yourself and how long have you been working in Dubai, UAE?
Yeah, so basically, I've been here in Dubai for the past 10 years. I arrived in Dubai, I think, March 2010. So when I arrived here, I was looking for a job in events and marketing. I think that's one of the reason I stayed here in Dubai because I remember when I arrived in Dubai and see the road of Sheikh Zayed Road, I said like, this is the country for me. And I didn't have any idea how long I'll be here, but spending almost a decade here, I say this country has given so much opportunities for me.
So you can say that 10 years or that decade gave you a lot of opportunity, right?
Yes.
And one of those opportunities is about this Drive to Succeed podcast. How did it start? Tell me more about this.
That's a good question. So let me walk you back in March 2018. So basically, if you're with me in March 8, 2018, I attended one event. It's basically a personal development event, how you will create content that position yourself as an expert. So there's this speaker in front of me, is a social media star. His name is John Lee. I was really curious what he does, but I attended the event and I was blown away by the amount of impact that he does just by creating content, Facebook, YouTube, podcast. And I realized the way he does that is that when he does that is he positioned himself as an expert so that his clients would come to him rather than him chasing them. And then I thought myself, if I could just copy the exact same thing, would it definitely improve my business? And I said, yes, if it will improve my business. Because I've been in business since 2015. So 2014, I think 2013 towards 14, I was in a publishing industry. So I used to interview a lot of CEOs, chairmen way back, but in a corporate level type of interviews. And then 2015, I decided, since I have this so much experience, I decided to just jump and start my own business. And then, which goes back now to the story where I attended the event, because on May 2018, that is the time where our business is really suffering. I think the market went slow down, and we're really having a hard time to cope up with our bills, finances. Some of our clients left us. Some of our clients are stayed with us. But thank God we still have, good clients that stayed with the company. But I thought myself about this John Lee guy, that he creates content so that his customers would come to him. Then I asked myself, if I could just do the exact same thing, will it improve my business? And then the answer came, podcasting. I don't want to be seen in video because I'm probably, very shy initially. I'm still shy.
No, I can't be seen with you. Anyway.
Yeah. So I thought myself, what can I start that is very easy to do with little to no technology, to zero fees at all? And then podcasting came in. And when I think about it, there's podcast. I mean, I've been a fan of podcasts, but the way I consume content or the type of content I consume for podcasting is not here in Dubai. So I thought myself, while this is not here, why didn't I just start my own? And then I actually procrastinated from March 2018 until November 2018. So it's been a long time, and I keep nagging me every night like, should I start my own podcast? No, I don't. Who will ever listen?
So what was the turning point that you decided I need to start this?
So the turning point of why I started a podcast is because November 2018, I attended an event again By the way, I love attending events.
That's great.
Yeah. So basically, November 2018, I attended an event with Spencer Lodge. He's actually one of my mentors and good friends now. There's one segment during this event that if you wanted to achieve a bigger goal, you need to break it down to smaller goals. And when I heard that, I was like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Why did I just start small? Until December 2018 came, which is actually my wife's anniversary. So we were spending our holiday in Cappadocia and in Turkey. So I was just really tired, out of the whim. I pulled out my phone from my pocket and say, "Hey everyone, I'll be launching the Drive to Succeed podcast. I'll be, interviewing experts in sales,
It was
marketing."
just on the spot plan. Like,
Yeah, I
there's
did.
no plan.
There's no plan. I just said it like I'm really tired from from the holidays and all that. We just went back to the hotel. I pull out my phone, and just, hey everyone, I'll just do this podcast thing.
Yeah. And then that's the start of everything.
Yeah, so that's the start. But when I launch it, actually, the story behind that is that when I launch or I just announce it, I became accountable to my actions, and I became accountable to people who actually got to know what I'm doing, so what I'm starting. So by just doing that, I told myself there is no other way. I just need to start and publish the first episode. So if you listen to my first episode, January 2019, I think January 22, 2019, is probably one of the worst intros, worst outros you're gonna ever hear, and my voice really is really terrible. So
Yeah. Anyways, just moving forward, after you started the Drive to Succeed podcast, have you decided, okay, this will be my focus? It's about business, it's about media. So is it a diverse topic, or you just want to focus in one
Yeah.
concrete topic?
So I'll tell you what my niche or target audience is. So basically, the Drive to Succeed podcast has been born because I wanted to get access to mentors. I wanted to get access to experts who will help me in my business. So my main theme in Drive to Succeed is towards training, personal development, and of course, upskilling yourself. So if you can see on the topics that I or guests that I bring into the show, there's a lot of people from sales, marketing, maybe personal branding, public speaking. So all these skills, even in individuals like yourself, if you just listen to my podcast and apply it, it will definitely improve you as a professional. And if you're a business owner, then it will definitely improve more. So.
Yeah, that's great. Getting from your answer, it's more on people from sales, people from public speaking. Like for the past 10 months of the existence of this Drive to Succeed podcast, who among of your guests you can say that they really made an impact to your listeners? If you still remember.
Yeah, of course, I remember all of them. Actually, just by doing all these podcasts, I had access to all these rock stars and experts and leveraged the relationship. Even now, until today, even my first guests were still connected through WhatsApp or to social media. I can say each and every one of them has their own or has made their impact in their own way. Because the beauty of my podcast is that it's not focused on one topic, it's focused on the audience itself. So let's say if I wanted to be good in sales, which is let's say every person should have, because I think every one of us or each one of us is actually a salesperson, either you like it or not. Like right now, I'm trying to convince you that my podcast is amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm
I'm convinced.
so I'm not trying to sell you, but I'm selling my idea. So
Yeah, that's right.
so basically, the guest has their own way of positioning themselves as an expert, and in a way, made an impact. Those tiny little bits. Let me give you a story. I think there's one lady, Alia. Her name is Alia. So she has a company, a startup. So what she do is she create content for the youth for financial education. I'm sorry, financial
Literacy, financial
Yeah, financial literacy. Yeah. So she told me she's been listening to my podcast ever since I launched it. And she was telling me that it helped her in her communication skills, how she present her business to investors. So those kind of things, even though it's not, a specific topic, but it adds up because those skills are still relevant to any person who will listen to the podcast.
So definitely in general, this podcast affects the life definitely of your listeners. But
Yes.
can you see like in the future, like this podcast can feature other focus like maybe arts, literature, fashion, or any form?
No.
Do you see moving it there or just focusing on this
No,
type
so
of
so
thing?
basically, this is a business podcast. So
Mhm.
there are only two topics:
Mhm.
business and self-development. So
Okay.
in business, it can range from startups, entrepreneurship, failures, how to sell your idea or how to market your
Mhm.
business, and self-development. Of course, those are like finances, sales, marketing. So it always only goes to this because the thing about podcasting is it's not like a radio where you need to target millions of people. I
Mhm.
need in my podcast, especially in the UAE, I only probably need to target at least maximum or maybe minimum 10,000 people.
Mhm.
If I have 10,000 people listening to my show, I'm okay. Because why? Those 10,000 people are engaged to my podcast and who are my so-called raving fans, meaning raving fans who will support me in my journey, who will buy my workshop, who will buy my courses, or who will attend my events.
Mhm.
And in the same way, because they do that, is I provide them free content. I mean, I provide them value anyway. So
Yeah, that's great. Anyway, just looking on the other side of doing podcasts, definitely, it's not an easy thing as well. So, what are the common challenges you're facing every time you do a podcast?
So let me tell you common roadblocks in podcasting, which
Mm-hmm.
I actually teach in my podcast academy.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is imposter syndrome, meaning if you're planning to start your own podcast, syndrome sound like this: Why me? Why
Mm-hmm.
would even people bother? Why would
Mm-hmm.
people even bother listening to this? My
Mm-hmm.
voice is terrible. So this is an imposter syndrome, and most of the time, people wanted to start podcasting don't start because of that. They listen to these negative questions they ask themselves. And there's a saying: the quality of your life depends on the quality of questions you ask yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of asking why me, you can say why not.
Why not? Yeah, that's a
Why not
good
they listen?
challenge for yourself, right?
Yes, exactly. So number two, technology. People think when you wanted to start a podcast, you needed to have great mics, great studio setup like this. And most of the time, all you need to do to start a podcast is a phone. You actually use your iPhone or any Android phone with a voice recorder. Please record your voice to it, publish it to what was it, Anchor app, and it's free. So you can just publish it. And another way is being overwhelmed, not being consistent, not committed. So there are a couple of ways roadblocks to podcasting. But me personally, my roadblocks was initially was the imposter syndrome. I keep if you remember my story initially from March 2018 until December 2008, I didn't do anything. It's like 8 months.
8 months.
Yeah, I
And
procrastinated.
Turkey is your
It's
go
no,
signal.
yeah, that's okay. It's like I'm having fun, so
Yeah. Anyway, you mentioned about this podcast academy. Okay, I as far as I know, this is just starting like
Yeah.
school for podcasting. So I want to know more about this and if I will, sign up for this podcast academy, what could be the benefits that I can gain?
So basically, while doing my podcast, or since my podcasting journey since January 2019 until to date, by interviewing experts in the process, I also attracted experts. What do I mean by that? Experts who are, you can say, coaches, consultants, business owners, people in the expert business like lawyers, this very specific type of people who have a service or a product that uses their own expertise. So by creating the Podcast Academy, I help them build their own platform, which actually positions themselves as an expert. Because like any business owner out there, if you're a business owner, or if you are, let's say, you're trying to get promoted, one thing that we lack as humans is we lack the guts to promote ourselves. We're always asking ourselves, let's just wait for my boss to be noticed or notice me, or let's just wait for customers to notice how good we are, right? But the thing is, if you're not promoting yourself, then nobody will ever know that you exist. That's
Yeah.
why I created. It's like myself. Probably if you ask my audience or any people out there who knows me, they haven't heard me since January 2019. And when I launched a podcast, now I am visible to them, and now I'm getting opportunities to speak as well. So by getting opportunity, by promoting myself, then I told myself, if I can do this, definitely these people can do it as well. Because I came from nothing. I don't have any, production background like doing all this editing stuff. I learned it by myself. But by creating this podcast academy, I'm giving them the shortcut, handhold them step by step so they can actually do it and promote their business. Because at the end of the day, if you're creating content, social media content, YouTube, Facebook, if you're not making money out of it, especially business owners, it's just a waste of time. But if you have your own podcast, let's say a lawyer, I created 10 episodes about law in the UAE.
Okay.
If I have a customer wants to know about bankruptcy, let's say, I have the podcast link. I'll just send it. Hey, listen to this podcast. I shared like 10 minutes information about it. And if you're interested, then let's meet. So you can see like your own book or like your own digital business card.
That's great to know. As if maybe I'll enroll in your podcast academy.
Yes.
Anyway, so what's the next like session that you're going to have here in Dubai, UAE for your podcast? Is there an upcoming
Yes.
sessions or schedules?
Yeah, so basically, I recently launched the first batch, which was October 25th, 2019, and now some of the people that approached me said they were in other trainings or they're outside the country, so they asked me if there would be another one. So I told them there will be another session or another podcast. The podcast academy will be open again on December 13 and 14. So this will be 2 days. Initially I make it 1 day, but then I thought the first batch was saying we should have 2 days because we wanted to be more hands-on. And I realized I have so much content to provide them so they can actually succeed in doing it. So I tell them, let's make it 2 days on December 13 and 14 and start enrolling now because the price...
Actually, you can promote it now here in our show if you want.
Yeah, so basically, for those people who are interested to learn how to start, grow, build, monetize your own podcast, you can go to the website www.thedrivetossucceed.com/podcasting-workshop. Again, that's www.thedrivetossucceed.com/podcasting-workshop. So right now, our original rate is actually 3,599 dirhams, but we're actually making it more accessible to students, to business owners. So we're
Yeah.
trimming it down to 2,399. And of course, at the end of the day, when you're creating content, you want to focus on promoting content, making money out of it. So aside from the workshop, I'm actually teaching how to promote it, meaning how to create call to action, how to create a website that converts, how to collect emails, how to market yourself. Maybe because when I started podcasting, initially I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to promote it and this and that. But after succeedingly creating this episode, I created an audience. At the same time, I leveraged my knowledge, experience, expertise that position myself as an expert, and thus I am invited to speak in other events and promote my business. So interestingly, this works. And if this works for me, this will work for anybody. But
Yeah.
anybody who is an expert and who is committed. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's stick in my mind. And I remember when you were starting in March 2018 till December, right?
Yeah,
It's like-
I'm just planning. Yeah.
But December or January 2019 is your go
My,
signal.
yeah, my first episode came out January. Yes.
Yeah. So before we end our show, can you give our listeners for your one last word, like those who want to start really podcasting or creating a social media platform to promote themselves? What's your advice to everyone?
So my advice to everyone is actually follow a proven model. So there are several, models out there in starting content or starting a podcast, but you need to stick to a proven model and stick to what is your personality. Because people think when they wanted to start a podcast, they need to copy Joe Rogan or Larry King, need to do great interviews. Actually, you can do podcasts by your own. You can do solo host or even a multi-host like this. So you need to follow that, and at the same time know why you are starting a podcast. Are you starting a podcast as a passion project, or are you starting a podcast because you want to monetize your content and maybe leverage your brand? So you need to follow a proven model and find your why. What is your why starting a podcast? So
Yeah, so everyone, you heard it from the experts. So for those of you who are planning to at least start a podcast, just follow your heart and just be an expert in your craft.
and of
And
course go to the website.
yes, yes, that's
The Drive
very
to Succeed.
important. Yeah, drive to podcast succeed
No, no,
of
it's
Mr. Daniel.
drivetotsucceed.com
.com.
slash podcasting dash workshop.
Yeah, Mr. Daniel, it was pleasure to talk to you this afternoon, and I hope you enjoyed as well.
Yes, thank you so much. I really had lots of fun and this episode, and thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and that's it for our episode this afternoon. And once again, I'm Mr. B with Mr. Daniel this afternoon, and thank you once again, and tune in tomorrow for our next episode. That's a wrap, everyone.